Kevin McCarthy is out, all the way out. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, resigning from Congress effective almost immediately. He says he'll be gone at the end of this month, December 2023. So in about 3 weeks from right now, as I'm recording this video, he'll be gone. Now, you may have seen some headlines that said Kevin McCarthy will not seek re-election. Well, that's true, but he's going to step down, resign, quit Congress before his term is over. So that'll be an issue. We already have a very, very razor-thin majority as far as the GOP in the House. And when he leaves, that'll cause a special election in California. Who's going to replace him? I have no idea. Will it be a Democrat? Most likely. So that's going to be an issue. But beyond that, this is going to cause a lot of problems in the House because you ousted Kevin McCarthy. He's out, which was pretty predictable, by the way. I figured he would actually quit because it's like, okay, you're going to oust me over what? Then you're going to put in a guy, what's his name? Mike Johnson, who is pretty much the same as Kevin McCarthy. So it's like, what are we really doing? This is kind of silly. I'm tired of the nonsense. He says he'll still be helping the party in different ways, but just not in Congress. Now, we have a video from MS-13 DNC, NBC, whatever they want to call themselves, and I'm sure they are happy as a pig rolling around in a tub of mud because they can see this opportunity as a way to make us look bad in the Republican Party, say, hey, you guys have feckless leadership. You guys cannot control the House, and you got a slim margin. You couldn't keep the presidency, all this and that and the third. So let's go ahead and see what they got to say. And if you want to see this full video without my commentary, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
28 past the hour, breaking news out of Capitol Hill. Just in the last few minutes, Congressman Kevin McCarthy, who previously served as House Speaker, has just penned an op-ed in the Wall Street.
Oh, yeah, so that's one thing I wanted to say. I'll link to the op-ed. He wrote an article about what's going on, and I think that is the way the news was broken from the op-ed on Wall Street Journal.
Street Journal, saying that he is leaving the House of Representatives at the end of this year. Let's go right to NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles. Also with us is former Republican Congressman Carlos Curbelo, an NBC News analyst. So, Ryan, what do we know about this?
Well, it's not a surprise, Jose. There has been a lot of speculation about Kevin McCarthy's future after he was removed from the Speaker's office in that drama that took place just a couple of months ago. And there were very few people here on Capitol Hill that felt that McCarthy would hang around in a backbencher capacity. There was many that believed that he was serving as somewhat of a distraction inside the House conference.
I mean, truthfully, I really don't blame him because if you were the Speaker of the House and you were appointed, you were selected by your colleagues, then they remove you. I mean, you're in an awkward situation. You're in a very awkward situation. So what do? You just stay there, grin and bear it, just go back to what you were doing before? How do you really press forward? I don't really know.
Rooms as the new House Speaker Mike Johnson got his footing and was looking to pave a new path for House Republicans. Plus, there was just an awful lot of animosity between that group of conservative Republicans that booted McCarthy and the rest of the conference, and McCarthy lingering around as part of that served as that distraction. And what Kevin McCarthy has said in this op-ed that he penned for the Wall Street Journal, which made his plans clear, is that he intends to step down before the end of the year, basically at the end of the year, which means that will create a vacancy for his Bakersfield, California area House district seat. And that's important, Jose, because as you'll recall, just last week, the House expelled George Santos, another Republican member. That reduced their margins from 4 seats down to 3. Now with McCarthy leaving, that means they will only have a 2-seat majority. And there's another congressman from Ohio who is expected to step down in the new year to take on a new role as the president of Youngstown State University. That's all to say that it's already been very difficult for Republicans to pass any sort of legislation from the House.
It's ridiculous. You got all these guys getting removed, stepping down. It's like, what are we trying to give Democrats the House? We might as well just say, all right, Anybody in the GOP who doesn't really want to be here in the House, go ahead and step down right now. Do not run again and just let them have it. So they can have all three branches and they can do whatever they want to do. I mean, because, okay, George Santos, I know he had some issues or whatever, but I've never seen a person get removed from office before they were actually convicted. We could say there's allegations or whatever and it looks ridiculous. He looks crazy. But the last guy who was removed from office got convicted first. We are experts at getting Republicans out of the House, losing power, losing elections, and it's starting to get kind of frustrating. Trump is, I think, the only person addressing some of the issues with losing, but his thought process is everything is rigged. So then it becomes, we're attacking the way the system operates rather than the people that we put in power. Are they self-serving? Do they have your best interests at heart? I can't tell. I'm getting triggered, so I digress.
And this is going to make that process even more difficult. Now, McCarthy, unlike Santos, represents a Republican-heavy district. It's very likely that he will ultimately be replaced by a Republican. But that is a process. It takes anywhere from 70 to 90 days based on when Governor Gavin Newsom will call for a special election to replace McCarthy, and he can't do that until he officially resigns from his seat. So that's going to be an extended period of time where those two seats will be vacant and not held by Republicans, making the...
So the one thing I wanted to say here, let me just give him a better freeze frame. Sorry to you, boss. But, okay, so the seat's going to be vacant. In the meantime, you got to be able to, start the process, have special election, do all these things to replace his seat. So even if McCarthy is replaced by a Republican, it's still going to take time for that to happen. And in the meantime, that seat will simply be vacant, which will reduce the Republican majority almost down to a minority,
making the already difficult job of the current speaker, Mike Johnson, that much more difficult.
So Ryan, just if you would, for clarity here. So let's say that the congressman says, I'm leaving in January. That's 1 year before the elections, are to be held, and then months more for the new member of Congress to swear in. This process means that once he leaves in January, that seat is null and void until?
No, it's not. No. So we will head into election year in 2024. But the way the process works out in the House, which is different from the Senate, in the Senate, the governor, depending on the laws of that particular state, has the ability to appoint the successor until a special election is called. In the case of the House, it has to be, the only way you can replace a member of Congress is through a special election. And so California's Governor Gavin Newsom will have that responsibility of calling for a special election within a certain period of time. I believe that is a 70 to 90 day window in which he can call that special election.
So basically, there has got to be a special election, but it's got to be called within a certain period of time. So he said, 70, 90 days. So it could be 3 months before the special election is called. And in that 3-month period, there's nobody in that seat. It's an open, vacant seat. And then after the election is called, how long does that process take for the actual election? You see, at bare minimum, from what he's saying, 3 months of an empty seat.
And there will definitively be a period of time where both the seat from New York and the seat from California are left vacant until those special elections can take place. And so that's part of the reason that this was a risky calculation for Kevin McCarthy and House Republicans, because this is a serious situation. But his hand was also forced, Jose. He had to decide whether or not he was going to run for re-election, had to file for re-election within the next couple of days. That's why he's making the announcement now, and that's why he's deciding to step down now, because there would have been rampant speculation as to what his future held if he didn't file for re-election here in the next couple of days.
Okay, I see. So he was in a weird situation. So he didn't want to be there anymore. So he didn't want to file for re-election, and he had to file for re-election within the next couple of days. So when he just failed to file, then automatically questions, hey, what's going on, man? You don't want to, You're done. Are you retiring? You're resigning? That's going to be a distraction. And then it's a distraction of him being there while he's ousted from being Speaker of the House. So this whole thing was inevitable. He had pretty much no choice other than to go ahead and step down unless he was going to run for re-election. And that was still going to be a distraction. Okay, you're trying to get reelected, but you were ousted. There's going to be kind of a black mark on you. This whole thing is a mess. And I blame Matt Gaetz. I still don't like Matt Gaetz for what he did because this was unnecessary. It didn't make a difference. You put Mike Johnson, Michael Jackson, whatever his name is, you put him in there, and he does the exact same thing that Kevin McCarthy did. So what was the purpose? You might as well have left good enough alone, in my humble opinion. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what's happening here with Kevin McCarthy resigning from Congress effective almost immediately? He will step down and be gone from Congress at the end of this year. At the end of December 2023, he'll be gone. Although the election is next year, 2024, during the general with President Trump, Biden, or everybody else. Whatever your thoughts are on this, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I stand. This is Matt Gaetz' fault. Matt Gaetz and the people that voted with him, the 2 or 3 guys that voted with him, however many guys it was, I blame them for this. This was unnecessary. It didn't do anything to help anybody. It didn't help Republicans. It didn't help the country. It helped nobody other than Matt Gaetz and whoever voted with him, because maybe their constituents think that they're doing something good for the country, although they're really not. Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.